was Team Good Vibes, and our app was GetLost. With GetLost, what we wanted to do was create a hiking and camping app that made it easier and safer for people to plan outdoor trips with their friends. So, a little bit of our motivation was most Americans prefer hiking and walking as their main form of exercise, and a lot of the current apps that are on the market right now lack functionality and are kind of limited in their features. So we wanted to take the best of what all of these apps offer and put it all in one place in order to encourage people to get active and discover new places. Some of our top requirements that we gathered in the initial phases of the process, we gathered these through a 9-question digital survey. And some of the things we aimed to find out through this was self-perceived fitness levels, interests in hiking, motivators and deterrents for hiking, and then also different users' confidence in their ability to plan and execute like outdoor recreational events. And we ended up with 67 responses from participants aged between 18 and 55. Some of the things that we found through this were some deterrents from hiking, were the lack of trails nearby and users honestly just not considering it as a form of exercise, even though most of our users reported like a moderate activity level, so that's 2 to 4 hours of physical activity per week. Other things, how often did our users utilize hiking or walking trails? And then some of the results that we found and what we took from those was that the app really needed to be simple and socially oriented. That way users would see that hiking is not just a means of exercise, but also a great social activity for them. Going into design, what we wanted to do is we did a wireframe design and then the actual implementation of each of our designs. So this is our first design. It was really similar to some of the other hiking apps that we had researched. Just had a simple navigation bar, green color scheme, and it really was focused on images of the locations. Our second design, we used a hamburger menu for navigation, and we really wanted our design to just be clean, simple, super easy to understand. The blue and white color scheme was just very clean and nice edges. And then our third design, which ultimately was the design that we ended up adhering to the most, was kind of our wacky design. We felt like we used a radial menu, and we wanted it to be like simple and kind of airy looking, but not just the standard hamburger menu. And then our color scheme here was kind of the yellow, orange, fun, bright colors. So then moving into implementation, we have the walkthrough.
Hello, so this is our prototype for our GetLost app. It is made using Marvel. So this is a landing page where you can see I as a user have no trips planned. I can click on the plus button to add a trip where I will be taken to multiple pages where I can tell the app my preferences, and then the app can generate multiple locations for my trip. So on this first page, I can add friends and then click the next arrow. I can decide what days I want to go. So I'm going to pick April 21st and 22nd. I can choose multiple activities I want to do, like hiking and camping. Then I can select my temperature preferences, like temperate. And I can say that I'm not okay with rain. And then how far I'm willing to go for the trip, up to 100 miles. And then the app generates multiple locations based on what I added, and then it takes me to a screen that's similar to dating apps in that you can swipe yes or no and look through multiple. So I'm just going to go ahead and click the green heart to say yes. And then my trip is generated, and this is the trip page that has a lot more information. On the top left, we have emergency info, where I can go and see the nearby medical centers, fire departments, and police department and their information. And then I can also add my own emergency contacts who will be notified about my trip. I can view the weather for that week, and those days I'm going. I can see my friends list of who is coming, and I can invite more friends from here. On the bottom, I can click chat and chat with the people who are going on the trip with me and talk about what we're bringing and details. There's a budget calculator, and so this I can say if I'm borrowing or renting or purchasing new gear for the trip. So I'll say I'll rent. And since it's a 2-day trip, I'll say I want 6 meals. And then I get an estimated budget based on this. Also, the packing list, we have a group packing list and a personal, so we can decide who's bringing what because we don't need multiple tents or multiple bear bags or multiple first aid kits. And then also a personal packing list from where personal belongings like a sleeping bag. And then also I can click learn more and see more about the location and about the parking details and other ratings. So if I didn't want to do the whole preference quiz, I could just search for locations. So from this page, I can click find locations and then search here for multiple. And that's it. That's GetLost.
Evaluation and a little bit about our usability studies. We used a couple different evaluation methods. We did a heuristic evaluation, a cognitive walkthrough, keystroke level model, a think aloud evaluation, and also a retrospective evaluation. And then the users who participated in the think aloud and also the retrospective evaluations completed a couple surveys before and after using the app. So a little bit about the demographics of those users. They were all between the ages of 20 and 23. We had 50-50 male and female, and then we also tested on a colorblind user. And all of our users stayed around the moderate range for their perceived fitness level. They also overall felt like the app was very easy to understand in like general features as well as like the process of creating a trip. They felt it was very simple. We also asked our users to rank the importance of filters during the initial trip questionnaire and also their experience with other apps because we wanted to see what features maybe weren't as important to them or were more important to them. So going into our conclusions, we wanted to take a couple more steps to make it so users can create trips without entering all the preferences. They didn't necessarily, in the current state, they would have to enter in different weather preferences. Maybe going forward, they wouldn't have to do that. We also wanted to clarify some of the widgets on the trip page. Some of the icons weren't super clear on what they represented. And then we also wanted to drop a couple features such as the budget calculator and chat page because users felt like they weren't as important to them or they wouldn't use them. So some of the challenges that we faced going through this project, how would we pick among our design options and then what features would provide the most value for the app. We also had a hard time finding time to meet regularly as a group. We all have very busy schedules. And then things that we learned that regularly scheduled meeting was pretty important, even if there isn't a deadline in the immediate future. And also that it is better to have too many designs starting out and then narrow down from there versus trying to build up. We also had a pretty ambitious project size at the beginning, and so we really had to narrow it down a lot to make it more manageable. So thank you guys for watching, and we hope that this has encouraged you to get outdoors and get lost.